everyone, this is Mindy for Honeybee Stamps, and in today's video I'm going to be creating this rainbow birthday card and doing a little bit of hot foiling. Some of the products I'm going to be using today are the Rainbow Accents, which is on the right, and the Rainbow A2 Builder. So I'm starting off with this rainbow die. This is from the Rainbow Accents, and I'm going to die cut it out of some 80-pound white cardstock, but I have it shifted off to the side there. I ran that through my die cut machine and then just popping out those bands of the rainbow, and I'm going to fill those in with some unique colors. I like to experiment with rainbow colors, and so here is what I have for that. I believe this is cherry and coral cardstock from Hero Arts, and I'm going to skip the yellow for a second. I have seafoam and I believe it's peacock from Concord and Ninth. I was really debating between buttercup and Stardust. Now, Stardust is kind of a unique yellow, and I don't really use it a lot for my rainbows, but I thought it would be fun to try and play that into the rainbow and see how that comes out. So I'm going to take that exact die that I used to cut out that white card front, and I'm going to die cut this from each of those colors of cardstock. That's going to give me lots of different bands of the rainbow, and I'm just going to pull out the ones that I need in kind of that rainbow order. The rest I will set off on the side to use on a different card. I'm adding tape runner behind that card front, that white card front that I die cut, and also tape runner to those little individual pieces in between. Now, the reason I'm using tape runner instead of something like liquid glue is I need a little bit more wiggle room time when I put my bands in there, because you can see there's nothing connecting it on the right hand side, so they're not going to be lined up perfectly. I'm starting with that cherry cardstock, I think it was, and added tape runner behind that and lined that into that first area of my rainbow. Then I'm coming in with the coral, and if I need to, I can bring in my tweezers and kind of adjust that white band in there. And I do need to do that from time to time and just kind of shift it around so it fits in like a puzzle piece. And I just move my way down at the front of the card, going through each of those colors of the rainbow. You could see there I took the tweezers to kind of adjust that white band in between and then work my way down to that last color there. Now, because I used a dot runner, there is some kind of sticky residue that's kind of peeking out on the front of the card. So I'm just going to take my adhesive eraser and buff over those areas so the front of the card is nice and clean. Then I'm going to flip it over and trim off any excess that's hanging off on the side. Now, to decorate my rainbow, I have these cloud dies. This is from that Rainbow A2 Builder, and I'm going to die cut those out of some white glitter cardstock. So they're going to be down at the bottom of my rainbow. Then for my sentiment, I'm using the word birthday hot foil plate. I'm going to trim out a piece of hammermill cardstock to fit my hot foil plate. And then I'm using champagne glimmer foil, which is one of my favorite foils to use. And I'm going to trim that down as well to fit my hot foil plate. And then I'm going to take my foil, I'm going to place it over the cardstock so it's pretty side up. Take that hot foil plate so it is sentiment down, and then hold that in place with the best ever craft tape from Spellbinders. My hot foil system is nice and hot, so I flipped my cardstock so my hot foil plate was touching the Glimmer system. Let that sit. I had hit the timer button, and when that's nice and ready, I disengage that from the Glimmer system, apply my shim and my top plate, and run that through my Spellbinders Platinum 6 die cut machine. So now when I remove that hot foil plate and my foil, I have this perfectly foiled sentiment. Now there's also a coordinating die, and I'm going to use that to die cut that out. So here's how my card is looking so far. I just kind of have everything placed where I want it to be. And I'm going to use this word wishes off of I think it's called Look for the Rainbow stamp set. But first, before I do any stamping, I'm going to just go ahead and get my clouds attached. And I'm doing that by placing some white foam squares behind them. You can see the one on the right is going to overhang, so I will trim off that excess. And then I can move on to my sentiment. So for the word wishes, I'm using my Mini Misty and some black cardstock. And I prepped my cardstock with an anti-static powder tool. And I'm using the Honeybee Stamps White Pigment ink pad to ink up my sentiment. And then I'm going to sprinkle on some white embossing powder. And I find I just get such amazing results when I'm using a white pigment ink pad and my white embossing powder. Then once my heat tool is warmed up, I can go ahead and melt that embossing powder. And I usually will take a Swiffer cloth to buff off any of that excess powder, but sometimes I'll bring in a regular pencil eraser and help buff that off even more. Then use the coordinating die to die cut out my sentiment. I also thought it would be really cute to have these gold stars on the front of my cardstock, so I took that star cluster and die cut it from some gold glitter cardstock. And then I had taken that birthday sentiment and I die cut that multiple times from white cardstock, and I'm layering that together with my liquid glue, and that's just going to create some dimension to that word birthday. I would have used foam squares, but some of those areas are pretty small, and I thought just layering the cardstock together would be a lot easier. I also am going to take those gold stars now and add them to the front of my card. I have the word birthday wishes just kind of placed there as a guide. I haven't attached those down just yet. I wanted to get all the stars down first. Now I do the same thing with my embellishments as I did with the stars, as I placed them on my card first before attaching them, so I knew exactly where they were going to go. Once those are down, I can take my birthday sentiment, add liquid glue to the back of that, and add that to the front of the card. And the back of the word wishes, I had attached some black foam squares, and I'm going to place that right under the word birthday. And then that's going to finish up my card project for today. I absolutely love how this came out. It is a pretty clean and simple design, and I really love these kind of different shades of the rainbow that I chose for cardstock. Thank you so much for joining me today.